Hello and welcome to yet another Gwen Destruction review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the NECA Warrior Predator. First, this figure was attacked back in 2013 with the first release of the Lost line. Now NECA returns with brand new articulation, based on the character that was featured in the movie Predator 2 at the very end. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, welcome to yet another Predator review. So, I've been wanting to do this review for a long time, but obviously this figure has been the center of debate and pushed back and delayed multiple times. I think we were supposed to get it initially, I want to say like July or August of last year. Yeah, it never quite exactly happened, and I think it was shown to us in early 2021. It feels like it's been forever, and obviously NECA's Predator line has been the center of debate, and this is the first one to come out since, I want to say, the Boar, Guardian. We had Guardian that came out about a year ago. I did a review on that one. But this figure right here, we're going to go ahead and jump into the typical, as usual. We're going to do a little comparison also of the original Warrior Predator that came out in 2013, I think it was, like we did with the Guardian Predator. Also, I want to give a shout out to Rogue Toys. They're the ones I got this from. Please check into them. Like, I enjoy giving them support. They ship out really fast. Like, I think I got this figure within like 2 to 3 days, which, like I said in previous reviews, I'm trying not to, use Big Bad Toy Store, just due to the fact that slow shipping. I'm trying to get these reviews up as fast as possible and film them when I can, even with my hectic schedule and all the other stuff that I'm doing on my channel right now. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to take a look at the actual box first. As usual, Tristan Jones is knocking it out of the ballpark with this artwork. Please go ahead and show him some support on Instagram. I'm going to go ahead and leave a link to his Instagram page. If you have not looked at his page yet and gone ahead and liked and followed his work, he is doing a phenomenal job just bringing all these different artist depictions of these predators that we only know from, basically from Predator 2, from a brief scene. And NECA and Tristan have done a great job adding on to the lore of these predators, that of which I do want to go ahead and say that there is a little read-up, so go ahead and pause if you wish. And then for that, we have all of our other predators in the line that will be coming out. We are only missing 1, 2, 3, 4 right now. I understand Shaman is floating around somewhere. I've heard there's some people that are getting him out of China. I do think they're bootlegs. I don't think there's any officials out or anything like that. I could be wrong on that. I'm holding out until anybody like Rogue Toys gets one, because I do not want any bootlegs in my collection, if I can just avoid them for the most part. But then we have number 6, Ultimate Warrior Predator. It's all just very well uniformed, and all these are going to look amazing once we get them all collected, all the packaging, and I can get them up on the wall together as the numbers have them accordingly. So, props to NECA. I mean, on this part right here, and it's the department for going ahead and deciding this is how we're going to go ahead and handle the packaging. And I haven't even shown you the inside, too. We have the picture of the Warrior Predator holding his mace, which we'll go ahead and talk about the accessories more in a moment. And then for that, a backdrop, which is pretty typical, which we have the ship, basically, the interior of the Predator ship. So there's a lot of good things happening. Just the thing is, it's coming out so slow, though, and it's got people really keyed up, though. And I do understand the complaints, don't get me wrong. Alright, so the best way to go ahead and start this with the actual figure is we're just going to go ahead and tackle both the paint apps and the overall sculpt in the first place. It maintains pretty well everything that we saw with the original one, which I can't wait to bring into the shot so you can get a better comparison. But first, we just want to focus on this new one, though, and kind of take it in. The first thing I'm noticing, though, when I got it out of the packaging and actually looked at the figure with my own eyes, is the fact I got to say this helmet right here. There's a lot more going on, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of move the lighting around a little bit so you can go ahead and get a better look at that. And if you kind of notice, there is a little bit of a stripe going on right about there, so it seems to go from about a black to like a silver, and then for that, it's almost like it's kind of striped up there, which I think is really cool. And a lot of the sculpt just pops way more than the original one had, which I remember was more of a flat silver. This one just has a lot more darker tones. And also, I do want to go and say that I feel like the paint apps on the overall skin, this right here is just even more blue. Like, in fact, it actually reminds me of when you take into account like the sculpt and the actual paint apps of it, it just makes me think of like a jacked, the aliens from Avatar. I can't think of what they're called on that movie, but that's what I think of with all that blue and kind of the stripes that has going on right there. But overall, though, it maintains the mold of the the City Hunter, and this is kind of, it seems to be a separate piece as well, though. There does appear to be some glue in certain areas, but I can go ahead and maneuver it and move it around just a little bit, which I don't remember it being as pliable on the original one that had came out back in 2013. Flip it on around, we've got our dreadlocks. Everything is completely free these days, which is great because NECA has long gotten there. I think that around the time the original one came out, they went ahead and they had fixed the issue. Like this, it's just even better nowadays though than it was then. Now, here's something I always complain about, but where is our little spear holder right here? I really wish that they'd get that back in there. You can clearly tell there is a spot for it right there. There's something that's supposed to go in there, but they have neglected that so hard. I'm going to just assume at this point that it's gone for good. I think the only one that has gotten it was the City Hunter, the battle damage, and the original one. Kind of disappointing in my opinion that they went ahead and just neglected that because I liked having an area to attach the spear to. That's probably going to be the last time you're going to hear about it because I feel like a broken record every time I bring that up anymore. So that's about that right there. Darker, like I said, darker paint apps, and just a nice fine use of silver, metallic silver with some blacks glossed over it, and it looks magnificent every which way when you look at it right there. I also don't remember this. It's kind of like a brownish red right here on the knuckles. And by the way, I've always been curious, just random observation, but I've always wondered if that's part of the Predator's skin or if it's like a glove that he wears or something like that. I don't know, but overall though, I don't remember this coloration being as pronounced on the original release. And you go ahead, you go on down right here, and it's sculpt-wise just pretty well just the City Hunter. It's nothing any different. I mean, if anything, it's just a mask. So, but it's got new paint apps, and obviously this is true to what we saw in the actual movie because all the Predators, not all of them I don't want to say, but most of them had the exact same armor. Some of them had combinations of the Jungle Hunter from the original movie and the City Hunter from the second one. Some of them had some original pieces. This one though, definitely though, just had this typical City Hunter hunting gear though. So this is pretty accurate to what we saw in the actual movie. Alright, before we get started on the articulation though, I gotta make a little disclaimer. This figure is a little stiff. So I think that's one thing that they had an issue with the Guardian Predator last time I reviewed it. There's certain areas I'm not going to articulate as much. But let's get it started and jump into this. Obviously we've got our head, which spins around pretty damn free because of the fact that there's really not a lot going on right there. So you can get this all the way around. You've got your arms, which only are restricted on this side due to the fact you have this armor piece, which comes up and kind of blocks it all off. You got our double jointed elbows. Then after that, you have your hands or wrists, I should say. Just go ahead and spin on around. Now keep in mind that they are, just attached on by little pegs. Obviously that will be the same on this side with the exception of the fact that you are a lot more free with this and this part of the arm right here due to the fact that this armor goes ahead and it moves with it. So there's a little bit of give due to the fact that this can be pliable and moves around. You've got our ab crunch right here, which is really tough to get anything out of. Waist, legs, can get the full splits out of this one. I think that's actually the best splits I've gotten out of any of these new ones. Now, the issue I'm having right here is definitely these double jointed knees right here. So I'm going to have to give him a hot water bath, and then after that, maybe I can get a little bit more range out of it. I'm not too wild about going too crazy with the articulation there, but I know a lot of people that absolutely love having that articulation. I see a lot of clever different poses people get out of the Predator because of the fact that that is there. So big props to NECA for getting into that and giving us more room to move it around. And after that, we have the feet. I think that's pretty well it. It's a pretty typical Predator, very articulated. NECA, I can't think of much more of what I want out of articulation for them these days. This one pretty well hits the nail on the head pretty well. I mean, they pretty well have given us everything. And there might be a little room for work. But overall, though, this isn't bad. Just the only takeaway is it is kind of stiff in the legs. This could be mine, though. So that's all I can say about that. As usual, we've got a wide range of accessories. The first one we're going to go and look at is the skull right here. This is actually painted a little bit different than the usual one that we have. Like, it's a bit darker than the other ones. A lot of darker paint apps. Kind of unique for what it's worth. I will say, though, it is still the exact same skull that we've been dealing with the past, decade. Like, NECA has not bothered changing up the skulls very much, this is going to cause me to shift gears over to the other piece right here, where things started. I believe before we had this one right here, NECA gave us the little skull and spine combo, which this again looks magnificent with the new paint apps that it has on it. But again, it's still the same as what we know. So there's not really a lot to say about it, and it's just pretty typical. I mean, you can just put it in his hand. You can go ahead and rest these in your on your Predator wall if you would like to, if you have one. That's my big thing right there because they're very rare these days. We have two different discs right here. We have our closed one that actually goes in the holster, and then for that we have the open one as it's flying through the air, which it's great to see that NECA has one head and is including two different types, because it used to be in the beginning they just went ahead and gave us this one. Flip them around so you can see the bottom, and get that in focus real quick. And that's pretty well that right there. So, I mean, pretty unique pieces. Just something still that we expect out of every Predator that has the ability to have a disc. These little pieces end up going on, I think it's the left arm gauntlet. So basically it's supposed to be, I think it was like a little wrist cannon. This is the part that you just put in there like it's propped open, shooting. And then for that, this is the closed one you would go ahead and put over it. Blast effect, we also typically got that. This one right here is basically the Predator 2 blast effect, but it is painted blue, so it has more of a style that's more comparable to the the original Predator. But just the overall mold though is the one that we saw with the Ultimate City Hunter, and I believe it was released in a weapons pack before then. We have two different hands right here. So you got one right here. This appears to be kind of like a grasping type hand. I believe this is also the one that you would use for it would be say like the overall spear. The actual disc, holding the disc. There's nothing too special about it. You just go ahead and just peg it on in. These go in pretty easy and pretty seamless. I think this one was originally on him. Alright, the first one I should dive into is going to have to be the actual collapsed spear. This again is something I've talked about, which is great, but the thing is though, I would love to have it to be able to attach on the very back of the actual Predator. It is not there though, so it's something, the thought that counts again, but there is a negative though as far as that peg missing. Now, you see a problem with this right here. This is something that NECA has struggled with for years. I think I've seen a grand total of one spear. I'm going to keep the spear put away due to the fact that these things break real easily. Like if they go off the shelf, you're guaranteed that this spear is going to go ahead and break. So the big thing is just notice how it appears to be kind of really straight and then it kind of gets kind of warped right here. That's my big thing that I really have issues with. NECA has got to correct this. I mean, there's been like one particular good spear I've seen. Then we have our battle axe right here. This is obviously, I'm a crazy battle axe person. So the thing is about this right here, this is my just weapon of choice, like on Skyrim. I just love going in with the OP overall battle axe. So to see it with the Predator, awesome right here. I think I've only seen one Predator before in the video games. It's probably more in the comic books. But I think it was the Vanguard Predator that had something kind of like a battle axe. But it's great to see this is totally new pieces. One thing that I thought was reused, and I'll actually go ahead and show you this right here. But notice this looks very familiar. This kind of reminds you of the actual spear. It's not the same. It's actually thinner, so it's not like they reused a part of the actual spear and just attached it to this new mold or anything like that. It's completely 100% its own new piece. Finally, we've got our mace. Now, this was done much better than I anticipated. Okay, so when I saw there was a mace in the pictures, I really wasn't that excited. Like, I was like, yeah, it's cool to have, extra new accessory that no other Predator has and kind of exclusive. But here's the thing about it, though. Bendy wire. Yes, I was so happy about that. At first, I took it out of the packaging, and I kind of thought, I wonder if this does bend, So I decided to go ahead and just look it over, and just from general observation, I saw the little holes right there, and I was like, yep, bendy wire. I wasn't even aware that they had it in there. That's probably the best way to go ahead and do that, just in case you want to get some cool shots, like he's swinging it, and it looks actually accurate, and it's going to stay in that position. We've got one accessory that I nearly forgot about. So I had this up on the shelf, and there's one thing that I did not fix because I wanted to show you guys it rather than fix it and act like it didn't happen. Due to the fact that I need you guys to be aware and just kind of look through your actual Predators if you're at your stores, and you can actually have a chance to look at it. If you're online though, unfortunately what you get is what you get. Yeah, so right here we've got kind of a warped bottom mandible. This is probably the worst mandible I've ever seen. It's nothing I'm going to complain about too much because it's fixable. I'm going to see what I can do with it, though. Hopefully I do not end up breaking it, but I know what I have to do to fix it. Other than that, though, it's just the usual right here. It's a City Hunter mold, and it makes use of dark blues and light blues as, it would on the body. In this review, I'm not going to go ahead and put it on the actual Predator due to the fact that, well, actually, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go ahead and do it because I want to show you guys how well it looks. Just disregard the fact that the mandible is kind of wonky. So before I go ahead and weigh and go ahead and get a measurement of this guy, I want to go ahead and try a few things. So I went ahead and threw that head on for you guys so you guys could see how the paint apps with the head actually transition to the body. Pretty good. There's just that one issue right there, which I'm going to resolve eventually. Let's go ahead and see how this actual disc sets in here, because that's always a question I have every time. And yeah, there's one attempt, two attempt, and our third one. Hopefully our third one will be a charm. We got it in. So it's probably not going to be something that's going to stick in too well. That's just something, though, I figured I'd show you guys because every Predator is a little different. I think on the Guardian one, it stuck in there pretty good. But our measurement, this figure is just about 8 inches tall. So, and that's actually like a typical for every other Predator that comes out anymore. You just expect it to be that tall. And let's go ahead and get the Warrior on the scale. Alright, so this might be a part that people have been waiting for. A little comparison between the Volume 1 and Volume 2 that we have of the Warrior, or I think it was also called the Ram Predator. Like, I want to say that's how I knew it as. Maybe I'm crazy, but I believe I knew it as an alternate name with as Ram. But a lot of these Lost Predators, they have alternate names. You know, for example, you have Hippie and Shaman. But anyway, though, yes, as I thought, first thing getting this out of the package, the overall helmet is just way different. And I mean, just look at the amount of blacks that you can go ahead and see right there. So it makes use of that in particular. As to where this one, it kind of has that striped thing going on, but it's very faint. I mean, you barely notice a lot of the overall paint apps that you have on this one. It's pretty well just a pretty well flat, you know, like a gray and a blue. And I don't know which one I honestly like between the paint apps on this one on the body or this one. Because to me, I want to bring this one in real quick. To me, this one just goes ahead and kind of looks like a really normal light blue, fleshy type thing right here. As to where this one does have some interesting points on it, you know, with the darker bits, kind of like a tiger stripe thing going on right there. Which I think it's alright in its own right overall. But the thing is, though, part of me does prefer this right here. Now I'm going to go ahead and add in a close-up. The biggest issue with both these Predators is they have kind of bad paint apps when it comes to the netting. So that's one thing that could be done better. Let's just individually talk about this one right here too. I want to go ahead and talk about one particular thing, or two particular things that are different on the original one before we go back to that one. So we have the shoulder cannon, and this one right here, let's hope this stays in focus right here. Really, you have to flip it around, like all the way around to even get it down. I have trouble getting it all the way down. It doesn't slide as gracefully as the other one. Also on this one, you do have your little gauntlet usually that opens up. But the thing is, I'm not going to open this up due to the fact I absolutely hate how these ones are tooled because of the fact it's so fragile. And please, I can't stress this enough. I'm going to say this every time when it comes to these Predators. Be wary about when you open these on up, especially on these Predator 2 sculpts, due to the fact that they will break. And it's something that you just need to be very mindful for, especially if you are a first-time collector and have never bought any Predators and you are looking into the idea of getting this one. So let's go ahead and switch gears back to the original one now. So the original one, as usual, like it does have the overall shoulder cannon, but this one I feel like, let's go ahead and get these dreadlocks out of the way and kind of move the head a little bit. I feel like this one's a little bit more graceful as far as things go. Like, I mean, I feel like I'm sliding it around a lot more and it's able to work a bit more than the other one. I'm overall enjoying how this one is done, and it goes down, just points down when it's, you know, out of use, and then you just kind of just flip it on around and it's back up, and let's get back into focus. It works a lot better, its functionality. One takeaway from this one, though, is this is before the fact that they had went ahead and had wrist gauntlets that had opened on up. So that's one thing. It's pretty well just a entirely one piece, does not open up. That was something at the time when these came out a lot of people were calling for, and we got it. It's just that there is some tooling issues, like I said, when it came to the other one. One difference I do feel like is worth pointing out too on these two Warriors is I want to go ahead and talk about the wrist blades. I went ahead and saved this for a separate part of the review. So the thing is right here, our wrist blades on this one right here, I believe come out much further than what we will have on the new one. So let's go ahead and get him out of frame, and let's go ahead and bring in the new one in. And this one right here, I won't lie, I struggled actually to get this hand down. It's very stiff, and same with the wrist blades just really do not want to come out any further, which is, I don't know, you tell me. do you prefer the wrist blades on the other one, or do you prefer it on this one right here? Because there is quite a difference in the length in the wrist blades as far as what we're going to go ahead and see right there. It's just that this one I think has more freedom. So comparing both of them, I do feel like obviously the paint apps are superior on the newer one, and the articulation is just much better. But the biggest drawbacks, I gotta say, is that shoulder cannon does not seem to be told as well as it should be, just for me. And overall, I'm debating which paint apps I like. I mean, obviously, you can tell between the one on the left and the one on the right that the original one is kind of dated. But I do kind of like the lighter blue than the more pronounced blue that we have on the newer one. I also did notice the only big difference between the two of them is the fact that there is netting on the right arm as to where it was absent on the older one. There was never any netting. I'm actually curious about going back to the movie and seeing how it was. Overall summary, I do think the Warrior Predator was worth the wait. However, though, there's a few things on the quality of this figure that I do believe are going backwards in terms of the quality of this actual Predator. I do believe the netting was inferior to the last one. Again, this could be mine. There could be better ones out there. I'm curious to know how, in your experience, if you purchase this one, how your netting is holding up, and if there just are better ones than I have. I do think that the shoulder cannon and the wrist blades are a step down from the original one. However, though, NECA continues to kill it in terms of the paint apps and the articulation, which is going to be a big draw. So if you missed out on the original one, this is a good chance to go ahead and grab in. However, though, the price of this is a little expensive, but you're getting a lot of accessories. Final note, I do want to go and say that if you did purchase the original one years ago in 2013, whenever it came out, I think it was 2013, it might be a good enough figure. That depends on what your standards are. If you're just somebody that feels like you've got a good enough figure for what it's worth, then you will do well with the original one. But the new one does have some new draws, and it was worth revisiting. All of these have been so far from NECA. Let's hope we get Shaman as soon as possible. Once I get him and find a place to get him from, hopefully it'll be Rogue Toys that will come through in the clutch. I'll go ahead and film a review and post it. Thank you for your time. Check out my Godzilla series. Check out my AVP Let's Play. There's a lot I got to bring you guys. Thanks and have a great day.